Speaking of the calendar, we want to spend a happy birthday, send a message to our good buddy, one of the best in the business, our colleague, an 8-time PGA Tour winner, Brad Faxon, our colleague on Golf Channel and NBC. One of the greatest putters of all time, putting guru, whisperer, got a great short game as well. There he is with Michael Breed. Happy birthday, Brad Faxon.
And let's take a look at Brad's career bio. The Haskins Award winner 40 years ago, Furman University, 8 PGA Tour wins twice, a Ryder Cupper, winner of the Payne Stewart Award back in 2005, and has been a putting coach since 2010. And we're pleased now to be joined by Brad Faxon. And Brad, I know you're expecting this question. How many more birthdays do you need before you're actually going to be able to shoot your age?
You know, I'm either getting closer or much farther away, aren't I? It's one of those things. My golf game's getting infinitely worse as I'm getting older. So I think one time in my PGA Tour career did I shoot 61, and that was a long time ago at the Buick Open Travelers Championship now. And the best solace I have from that, Eamon, is Scotty Cameron sent me this cool head cover. It's got a 62 on it for my age, and I was getting all excited that this was for how old I am, but it's actually the year he was born, 1962. But I like that.
That is so cool. Well, you know, you're not going to spend any time with us without Eamon giving you a little bit of grief, but I'm going to try to be a little bit kinder. No. As you know, 8 wins on the PGA Tour. You beat Phil, the likes of Chip Beck. You beat Tom Lehman, a couple of Ryder Cup appearances. What are you most pleased with and proud of when you look back?
Geez, a few things, and thank you. I know your integrity is a little higher than Eamon's, and I would say there's a couple. Winning a tournament close to your home, I think any player would tell you that the tournament that was the CVS Charity Classic or the Pleasant Valley tournament, which was about 45 minutes from where I grew up in Rhode Island. I won that tournament in 1992. That was a big deal. That was where I got my first start in PGA Tour events. The Mingola family gave me exemptions when I was an amateur. And to win at home, that meant a lot. And I really think the Australian Open was a big win. That was a big tournament back in the 80s and the 90s. The likes of Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, of course, Greg Norman, so many of the great Australian players, Rory McIlroy, Adam Scott, that have won that. And to win an International Open Championship, I don't know, that was cool. But the Ryder Cups are cool. You know, we got one of those coming up in a couple months to represent your country in golf. It's fantastic.
Brad, speaking of Rory McIlroy, you've been working with him now for 5 years through a lot of high points. There's been a lot of scrutiny on Rory's putting, particularly in majors, over the course of this year. Do you pay any attention to that, or how easy is it for you and Rory to kind of tune out the noise and work on whatever you're working on?
It's funny that you're saying that, Eamon, because I talked to him. He called me a couple of days ago. I was up in Rhode Island, and we were talking about exactly that, the noise that he gets. You know, he had just won the Scottish Open, which sometimes could add more pressure to a player the next week to, you know, certainly in Rory's respect, it puts more pressure on him. He's obvious favorite to win there. And, you know, he didn't have a great putting couple days, but he had a great final round and a great putting week. And, you know, when Rory McIlroy finishes 5th in a major, is tied for 6th in a major, the world's going to end, according to some of the media. You know, the guy's a hell of a player. He hasn't finished out of the top 10 in a tournament, it seems like, the last 7 events. He's played very well in majors, except for the Masters this year. And I look at it, it bugs me to no end. And what particularly bugs me, and I hope whoever posted this one is listening now, because when other instructors want to criticize Rory's stroke or Rory or potentially me, when they don't know anything about how a player thinks and what motivates them, what drives them, it's beyond reproach. And I try to never criticize another instructor, because I really honestly feel like they're always trying to help players get better. And when you go out in that forum to do what some of these instructors do, I don't like it.
Brad, speaking of what drives players, I was moved by Rory at the Los Angeles Country Club when he said on Sunday night, I would go through 100 more Sundays like this one just to have a chance to win one more major. As much as I've talked to Rory and interviewed him, I was moved and struck by that statement. What did you make of that statement? I thought it was very powerful.
It is very powerful. It seems like almost everything Rory says is very powerful. he's become the spokesman of the game. And you guys were talking about Tiger and his new election of the policy board, how players like Charlie Hoffman or Webb Simpson feel about him. I mean, Rory, he's so powerful. I think a lot of players may be jealous of that because he's correct a lot of times. He can look in the mirror at what he believes in every single day. And he knows the history of golf well enough, Damon, to know that his score, his second place score at the U.S. Open at LACC would have won a lot of other U.S. Opens, maybe every other one except for Koepka's at Erin Hills. The great play of Wyndham Clark, the chip shots that he made on the back nine to get up and down. Sometimes people get stolen. Those things get stolen away from a player. And Rory really didn't have to hang his head on anything there. And this is going to make him come out even stronger and better, in my opinion.
Brad, you are so closely associated with one club in the bag. Does it bother you that when people assume that all of the success you had as a player was just born from one club?
Sometimes I think about that. You have to have some ability to get it from A to B out here on the tour. It's not just making putts. And what I didn't know, and maybe probably better that I didn't know it when I was playing in the 90s, was the data that's available now to the players would show how much more important the tee to green game is than the putting green. Putting is, and I just saw Cam Young here. I'm at Old Palm where I live, and he was out hitting balls. And he's played pretty darn good for not having putting stats. So has Scotty Scheffler. If I had ever known how important it was hitting a tee to green, I might have been a lot worse. But I had times in my career where, I could feel like the driver was a strength. I mean, I felt like it never really hurt me for a long period of time. But I don't mind being known as a putting guy. I mean, there's a lot of great players that were really good at putting. Ben Crenshaw comes to mind, that didn't get into the instruction side of it. But this is a really new challenge to feel like I can try and help someone. Just because I was good at something doesn't guarantee that. And I know I failed a lot with you, Eamon, on the putting green, but at least you got one of my putters.
Well, true, but I never took a full swing lesson from you, Brad. How many teachers have you actually paid for a lesson in your career? Leaving aside the guys that you got a tip from that you didn't actually have to pay, how many times did you write a check for a teacher?
I showed it to Chambly last week over at the Open Championship, and it got into the hundreds. I've paid over 100 different instructors, and I'm sure if any of those instructors are listening now that didn't get paid, the statute of limitations has run out. I'm not writing any more checks, but I like learning. I had 3 or 4 of those instructors that I stayed with for more than a minute that helped me over a long period of time. So it wasn't a waste of time.
Well, you're a long way away from your school years, Brad, but we're going to put you on the spot with a little Tuesday trivia about your own career. So I hope you're ready for this. And, we talk a lot about your putting. We're going to do it again. So what years did you lead the PGA Tour in putting average?
I think I did it 3 years, and I would say 97, 98, and 2000, maybe 2001.
So close.
Very close.
96, 99, and 2000. I mean, you're sniffing all around it. Is that a good? Is that a check mark or no? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'd give him a half.
We'll give you a half. Okay.
He is 62.
Right, just one thing there. I was 36, 7, and 9 on those 3 years. So people ask me, this is what bugs me. You were born with it, Brad. You were just born a great putter. I mean, there's proof here that you can get into your 30s and even into your 40s and become better.
What about your 50s? Asking for a friend.
60s. Right.
Here's your next question, Brad.
That's
what
good.
was your putts per green in regulation average during that 2000 season?
1.704.
Whoa.
Wow. He doesn't know what he had for breakfast this morning, but he can pull up that number from 23 years ago.
Nailed it. A noser, they call it. Wow.
Yeah, that used to lead. I don't know if that's still ahead.
Oh, I got to think so.
For all time.
Crazy. These greens
are the best.
That was awesome. All right, let's see if you can do it again now. I know your guilty pleasure is Haagen-Dazs milkshakes, according to your PGA Tour bio anyway. So we want to know how many flavors of Haagen-Dazs ice cream are there?
Oh, boy. I've moved on from Haagen-Dazs to a couple different companies now. Well, when you're making milkshakes, there's really only three. There's chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. But there's got to be, I'm guessing there's less than Baskin-Robbins. So I'd say 23.
No, you got to double it.
46.
46. Wow.
46.
Okay, the last question, and I already know the answer to this, Brad, but I want to hear you say it on national television. What's your personal record for most visits to the Porta-John during a round on the PGA Tour?
You're not asking me that.
He just did.
Does it have to? All right, well, I can tell you it happened in the 1991 Buick Open. My great friends that I stayed with, Nick Logan and Joanne, pizza and beer the night before. I didn't know I was like lactose intolerant. I didn't know I was gluten allergic. But that first two rounds, I played with Andy North on that first round on Thursday, 7 sprints to the toilet. And the Porta-Johns are not pleasant. And I actually had to take something called low modal, which I'd never heard of before, to stop it. And I was later told that that was the reason why I won the tournament, because it relaxed me. And I'm going, oh, God. Isn't that awful? We're talking about this.
Leave it to Eamon to take us to the Porta-John.
I wonder why. I mean,
thanks, Eamon.
That was the week.
Oh, at least I got it correct. Yeah.
Well, he did shoot 61 that week and he won the tournament. I just wonder why he didn't have pizza and beer every week.
Well, he's lactose intolerant, as we know. I don't know how you had all that ice cream if you were lactose intolerant, buddy. Happy birthday, man. It's great to see you. We love having you as a colleague on NBC, as you know. And enjoy it. I hope you have some good red wine tonight.
Eamon, I appreciate it. There might be a glass or two involved in there. And Eamon, it's nice to see you. You would like being here right now at Old Palm. There's a big junior tournament here with the PGA section down in South Florida. Charlie Woods was out practicing this morning. I just saw him. Cam Young, who is not playing in the junior tournament, was out here practicing because it's one of the few ranges that's open right now with all the restorations going on. But it's going to be fun to watch. Actually, Tiger's been out here the last few days with Charlie, giving him lessons. Wow. That's pretty cool.
You know, I don't like too many people in my dispersion pattern on my range, Brad, so it's probably good I'm not there.
Well, I saw Mark Hackett, you're one of your many teachers, Eamon. He said, Eamon's not coming down here. There's not enough room on the range for him right now.
For him or his swing thoughts.
They don't have to be deep. They just got to be wide.
Thank you, Fax. We'll speak to you soon, buddy. Happy birthday.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.